So these good detail videos are going to be broken up into many parts, as you can tell here. My sister, for instance, she has good taste in food. She volunteers her time. She's not self-centered, really. She really doesn't have much of a self-centered nature, but she wants to look outward appearing as big or better than other people, kind of pompous. But it's not really pompous, so that's a great thing. She's well dressed. I gotta say, she's hardworking. She earned what she has. Her husband earned what he has. She works well with others. She thinks things out. She waits before acting, sometimes waiting too long before acting, like with my mother. She never stepped in with my mother anytime with the medications, druggings, movings, nothing. But that's a good thing sometimes, to be patient and ask questions and know knowledge. The only problem with waiting is, like in her case, the chance can pass you by and then people get hurt. It can cause you not to act. So sometimes she doesn't act at all, or other times she's buying her time figuring out what's going on and then acts, what can be a good thing. Meanwhile, my brother is quick to act. He sees something that he sees is wrong, and he wants to do something about it right away. My mother is acting crazy. I'm getting hurt. Something seriously wrong here. He's voicing that he doesn't like what he sees. She's acting crazy. She's talking weird. I've heard that she's hit Zach. Seth is complaining. Seth is afraid. Things are going crazy. Zach's acting crazy. You moved him out of here and now you brought him back and he seems different. He's still sickly. He doesn't seem better at all from when we left. Just all this stuff. So he's acting and he's getting mad about it and he's voicing his opinions openly. Meanwhile, my sister is kind of keeping it to herself, asking questions like, Zach, are you upset at your mother? And then my mother admits, I can give extra medication to a child as a punishment. There's nothing wrong about drugging a child. I can get all the medication I want into Zach. There's nothing wrong with me getting Zach extra medication. I can get him extra medication. We can give him medication. We can give him extra medication in general or as a punishment if we feel like. So with those type of statements, of course, we were horrified, but my father doubled down again. That can be a good thing, but it's a bad thing, really. It's short-term loyalty, and that's why she's dead, is because nobody wanted to give her alcohol or drug treatment or anything to do with her mental health. My mother was suffering greatly. She was guilt, and she was holding it all in. She thought people were out to get her. She thought I was out to get her. She thought that Jeff was out to get her. She thought that Tim was out to get her. She thought Valerie was out to get her. She thought the whole family was out to get her. She thought drugs was the answer. She thought she could shut up her son with drugs. She wanted to cover up a crime. She was making mistakes and she was covering them up instead of discussing them with the family. She had some other mental illness. She was seeing things in the hallway that aren't there. She had delusions. She had all these fantasies she wanted to spread. She would come up with an idea in her head and turn it into a big, true fantasy about me, and then everybody would just have to believe it. It never happened. I mean, I just won a swimming medal in an orphanage. But my mother said, oh, he's going around writing his name on medals, stealing medals. He's making up stories about medals. That's what my son is doing, when really it's just a fantasy in my mother's head. Like when she thought that I liked my toys better than her. While I was at school, my mother went mentally ill. She started to think that I was out to get her and that I liked my toys more than her, and so I was out to get her. So while I was at school, she took all my favorite toys and threw them in the dumpster and got rid of them. When I came home from school and asked my mother where my toys went, my mother went right into my face and said, you like those toys more than you like me, and you're out to get me, so I threw those away. Now, she said the out to get me part later with other conversations, but she actually said the words, you like those toys more than you like me, so I threw them away. Now, I cried about this. I cried. I told my father and other people about it, and my mother just changed her story. Well, his room wasn't clean. Something like that. But it's very clear my mother had a severe mental illness. She was seeing things in the hallway that wasn't there. She woke me up out of a sound sleep one time. I'm sleeping. I had the TV on, falling asleep to the TV, la-di-da-di-da. I'm falling asleep. I hit the TV just in time. I'm asleep. I get shooken, woken up by screaming lunatics. I go, what the fuck is going on? My mother's saying, there's people in the hallway. You got friends over. I'm like, Mom, there's no friends over during the day. I have no friends over ever. You scared all my friends away. You good job, okay? You scared them all away. Nobody ever visits me, not during the day, not in the last 5 years. I've not had a friend over at this house in over 5 years, day, night, or otherwise. Nobody's stupid enough to come to this house. I can go to their house, but they're not coming here to see you, Mom. And that's what I wanted to tell her. Instead, I said, Mom, it's probably the TV. Go back to bed. And then my mother screams, no, you got people over. Yeah, you got people over. Yeah, there's people. I'm like, Mom, I'm asleep here. There's nobody over. There's 3 flights of fucking stairs. You would have heard them go up and down the stairs, for goodness sake. You would have seen their car pull in. We live in a neighborhood. Look at all this. If I was going to meet them, I would be downstairs hanging out with them. They wouldn't be trying to sneak up a flight of stairs going by my mother. I'm 20 years, 19, actually, no, sorry, I was 19 years old. I mean, you're going through liver failure. You're going through jaundice. You're about to die in a year. You're popping pills in the closet like an animal, and you just had 3 martinis with those pills. You're sick, Ma. You're sick. That person you saw sneaking in the hallway was their imagination. You got that mirror pointed in the hallway, and you're looking through it every fucking night. You're paranoid. You think people are out to get you. You're jealous of a kid's toys. You think that I got friends over when there's no friends at all. In 5 years, when have you ever seen a friend come over to see me here? Haven't I always had to go to them? Haven't they all said no now? When the last friend I had was maybe at 15, 16 years old. I had one friend one time, and you scared him away real quick, and that was after my mother died. It was just my father scaring him away. We smiled, and my father got really mad that we smiled. I was trying to forget about my mother. My buddy took some cough medicine. I took 4 cough pills and mixed it with the weed. We had weed. He took the whole package of, like, I think there was 8. I took 4, and then I smoked a little weed. He smoked a little weed, and we tried to forget my mother just died. We talked, whatever. I went downstairs, I was smiling. My father lost it and scared him away. I'm used to my father getting violent because I'm smiling or I'm looking happy or something like that. I'm used to him getting mad at that. But my friend is like, your mother just died. You're trying to forget about that right now. You're trying to have a friend over, and then you'll be depressed when I leave in an hour. You'll frown and cry and wonder what you're going to do about your health care and wonder if you're ever going to see a doctor again, and now you're never going to get any more information about from your mother, and what are you ever going to do about your future, and you never got an education, and you still have to figure out how to keep your foot still long enough so you can drive, and nobody even wants to fucking bother talking to you about the mother issue, even though you know that this was caused by some type of overdose, but you don't even know what to call the fucking shit other than I'm sick and I'm disabled. I know I'm disabled. That's all I can tell people. I know I'm disabled. I know I'm disabled in some way. I just don't know how to describe this way. My mother won't let me get the help to describe. She just calls it a mental illness, but that doesn't make any sense to anybody. No, okay, I move my thumb and my left leg shakes. I can't drive because I can't control my foot. That's not in any of my mental illness paperwork. The reason why I can't drive is due to my disability. If my disability has to do with a mental illness, then why does my mental illness not disqualify me from driving if my disability is the reason why I can't drive? If you just go through that logic right there, it's very clear it's not a mental illness, it's a physical illness. If something is in your leg, that's not your brain. Mental is brain, leg is leg. But there are nerves in your leg called nervous system that is connected to your brain and connected to your spine and back. Where I'm having the most problems is in my back and upper neck, and the signal's getting sent out of my brain through that neck and spine, and when I try to send a signal to my thumb, I get uncontrollable spasms in my leg. So yeah, stuff like that. But anyways, we're going to do more videos about positive stuff, like how my father is good with money and he's able to save money. Even if his son has to wear rags, don't worry, he'll have vacations. He's good enough with money where his son can suffer in the woods, die. He can wear rags at the age of 14. He can be made fun of as the raggedy kid in the orphanage. He can be made fun of at school with the kid who never has any real clothing. He's always just wearing knockoff jeans, his mother's jeans, they used to call me. They used to say, Zach must be wearing his mother's jeans. They were Costco jeans, assholes. They're just regular jeans from Costco. They're men's. They say men's right on the tag. No, they are women's jeans, Zach. I don't care. Look at the fucking tag. It says Costco men's right on it. But anyways, I was happy with the Costco men's jeans, and I'm still happy. But we needed more than just one pair or a shop a year. If I'm getting $980 in Social Security for food, clothing, and a shelter, and the state is providing me 24 days of shelter, 24 days of food, the least my father can do is make sure I get the same clothing as any other orphanage in the orphanage program. All the other kids with no parents got $200 of clothing every single month. Now, my father could have cut that in half to save himself, stuck 100 in his own pocket. I don't care. Just take 100 and go out to eat with it. I don't care. But make sure I get 100 for clothing, okay? I get 100 for clothing every month. You get 100 for going out to eat or going to get a bottle of gin. Okay? Deal? That's all I want. You get to spend 100 on what you want for fun activities, vacations, whatever. I get 100 for clothing. And then the rest is for my shelter. And if you don't have to pay for my shelter and you're putting me in a program, even better. Now you got what? $700 more in your pocket. Perfect. Use that for your rent. You don't have to house me. Perfect. Buy some cookies and put them away, and I'll come on the weekend and take 2 cookies from you. Easy peasy. You saved a fortune. There you go. But I just wanted clothing. That's all. But my father, so these good things, like my father being very good with money, very, savvy with the money, very stingy with money, so that he can save money and have more money for what he calls his family. That could be a good thing if he doesn't have any sons out there with medical conditions and disabilities that aren't being treated, that can't drive, don't have a car, can't move their body, can't work, can't use a shelter, for goodness sake. If you have a son out there with those conditions, and you're saying that you're money savvy to save money for your family and stuff like that, but then you have a grandson that literally watched your son get hurt. You have a grandson that was saying things to your son like, I'm afraid to visit. You have a son that says he was hurt. You have another son that said your wife is crazy. You need to handle your wife. You need to handle your wife. Something's wrong with your wife and your son. You got doctors saying that. You got teachers saying that in Westford. You got your son being moved all around the country. Your wife seems to want to move all the time right after you get this little orphan kid. That seems weird. You got all this stuff going on. Maybe it'd be a good idea to handle it and get that hatchet buried already. Go up to your son and say, hey, what are you talking about? Oh, so those medications you got in Westford, some of them gave you an overdose? Oh, I don't remember that, but if you say that's what happened, whoa, you wouldn't tell me something that scary out of nowhere. That's not something you do. You don't just talk about, 25 years of repeating illnesses that I would remember and documentation of doctor's offices that we can go drive and get if we spend enough time, but it's going to be super difficult. And you can't promise anything because some of those are paper copies, so you're going to have to work hard to get these things. It's not like you just show up and they give it to you. These things have to be worked towards. And that's what I've been doing for 25 years, is working towards being able to drive, work, and live a normal life. Meanwhile, my mother was working towards trying to establish fake illnesses and cover up what she did to me and make sure nobody ever finds out my real disability. Those two things do not mix. So remember that it's very hard for me to talk about the good qualities when some of these same good qualities are the same things that killed me. Like my mother's overbearingness and her caring. Well, she also doesn't know how to put caring before her own self. Like, for instance, during the overdose, she was getting medication because she cared about me. But then she wants to shut me up to change the TV, so she mixes a bunch of pills together, calls me in the hallway, gives them to me. There's an overdose. I lose my vision. My body is fried. My breathing slows down. I'm about to go unconscious. They're telling her to bring me to the emergency room. And she hangs up the phone as telling my father, they don't know what they're talking about. Let them sleep it off. And then she leaves me to sleep it off. Why would somebody that cares do something like that? Because she cares, but she doesn't care to go to jail. She doesn't care for everybody to know that she slipped up and caused an overdose in a child and had that child taken away from her. She doesn't want to be embarrassed in front of the whole family. She doesn't care that much. No, she'll just adopt the child, and that's good enough, right?